are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, and thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher, and joining me today, as always, is Landon McCool. You can follow him on Twitter at McCoolBCB. You can also listen to him on the Best Coast Boys podcast. I don't know how you did it, Landon, but you made me sick all the way on the other side of the East Coast. How did you do this?
It's my sickness is so contagious. It made it through the microphone, through the interwebs, and all the way to you. I got to point out, because look, we just got on here. I'm already being called out by the Locked On Now Twitter account for not making it here on time. I would just like to apologize to all of Cowboys faithful for being 5 minutes late.
Yeah, I saw a couple of people wanted to see me do like the Parent Trap kind of thing where I'm playing both parts. That would have been a lot of fun.
You're no Haley Mills, okay? You're probably closer to what's her name? I can't even remember the last person who played that. But if they're gonna do the remake, you're the guy. That
it's Lindsay Lohan,
sure.
Right?
Lindsay Lohan, of course.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's the better version. All right, Landon. So we've got a busy show for you guys today. We're gonna do some trade talk. We're gonna talk about some guys that the Cowboys might be able to acquire. Maybe some guys they could trade away. But before we do that, we got some news from Mike McCarthy on Wednesday. And this always happens. I just want to tell you guys. Landon and I kind of prep our shows throughout the week, and we try to figure out what we're going to talk about. And I think it was 2 days ago you said, oh, it's the Cowboys. We'll have news on Wednesday, right? And we're like, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah,
I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was, and it was like, as soon I was like, we're not sure what we're gonna do Wednesday. We could do it. We had planned a trade show anyways, and then I was just like, there's gonna be something that pops up, and sure enough, this morning the Cowboys always deliver.
Oh, they do. All right, so Mike McCarthy said on Wednesday that Terence Steele will continue to start at right tackle during the practices this week. Lael Collins is going to be worked in at right tackle and left guard. And Cowboys Nation is losing their mind. Not at Cowboys Nation. I'm saying the entire Cowboys Nation is losing their mind right now. I have thoughts, but I want to hear yours.
Well, I again, the first thing I tweeted about this morning is, honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is, did you see that Connor Williams is trending?
Is he really?
And it's like so disappointing, man. It's so disappointing. Like the slander that, the Cowboys. Look, my first take here is the same take we had before, is that I think, the Cowboys are going to make Lael sweat. There's been a streak of problems where it's about personal responsibility. And I think they're not done with him by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that they are at the point where they are, trying to send a message that, hey, like, we need somebody we can rely on. And here's the other part of it that makes it difficult, especially when you're a head coach. Terence Steele is like model citizen dude.
That's right? What makes this so interesting, right?
Yeah, is that he won the offseason award. He's a favorite of the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. So, they're not going to just – and I think it would be a bad message to just hand back Lael Collins' starting job after how Terence has performed.
All right, so there are a couple different things. I know our guy John Owning is upset because he feels like you're purposely making your team worse by not starting Lael Collins at right tackle. And my response is, I think you're right. Like,
I agree.
I don't think either of us disagree. Lael Collins is twice the player that Terence Steele is. If you want the best player on Sunday to be out there, it's Lael Collins. It just is. But the Cowboys aren't just thinking about a one-game thing here. I think Mike McCarthy is really trying to build a culture of guys that work hard and, they don't just get their jobs back because you're, not responsible for taking care of your business, right? Lael Collins, it wasn't like he missed time with an injury that he couldn't avoid this year. He missed 5 games because of his own actions, right? Why should we immediately give him his job back when we don't trust him at all right now? It's pretty clear the Cowboys coaching staff or front office is upset with Lael. And I think this is a good way to say, hey, you're going to earn your job back in time but it's just not going to be right now.
I mean, look, it's the bottom line is that he made a series of 3 pretty serious bad personal decisions. If we're to believe what's out there, right? It was obviously everything that happened last year, not getting the surgery, not showing up in shape, not getting worked out. Look, there's a COVID situation that could have complicated things. We could look past that.
We could look past that. It's this one that's the more concerning one, right?
But then you go in, whatever happened with your failed test, whether you failed the test or just didn't show up to the test, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, if we're talking about responsibility, that is step 2. That is terrible enough. But then to, exacerbate that even further by potentially trying to bribe the testing guy is, I mean, again, it just shows a continued pattern of a lack of responsibility and kind of just an unawareness that you need to take care of business in order to make it on the field.
Yes.
And ultimately, I think, they want Lael Collins to come back and be the starter.
Of course.
I mean, I think what John says is absolutely correct. And people need to stop ignoring that, right? That Lael Collins is clearly the better player.
He is, without a doubt.
And I don't think even in the realm of trying to send a message to the team that they necessarily are going to go out and start Terence Steele, in order to do that. I think it's more.
No, I don't think they're doing it to send a message.
No.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it's like that. I think it's just really, we want you to earn our trust back. I really think that's what it is, right?
So I guess at this point, let's see who starts on Sunday, because that's
the other thing is, Landon, this isn't a season-long thing. It's not like Mike McCarthy came out and said, "Hey, we're rolling with Terence Steele the rest of the season." He didn't say that. He said we're starting practice with Terence Steele at right tackle, which makes this seem like it's a very fluid thing. We're going to have to move on in a second, but I wanted just to point back to a couple different decisions the Cowboys have made over the last basically year under Mike McCarthy. So Blake Jarwin got paid after going into the 2019 or 2020 season, right? And he is a part-time player to Dalton Schultz right now, who is on the last year of his contract. Donovan Wilson played great last year, but it sounds like he didn't do everything this offseason to kind of get himself back in shape and be ready to go. And when he's healthy, even last week, he didn't get his job immediately back. Now, he might eventually get it back, but they played Jaron Kearse over him. Jalen Smith, they paid him a bunch of money. They gave him 4 games, and they cut him outright, right? Leighton Vander Esch, first-round pick. He's kind of been demoted to like the 3rd or 4th linebacker in terms of snaps on the team. It just feels like McCarthy and the rest of the team in the front office wants to build a reputation where, hey, if you do your job, in practice, in the offseason, and you get yourself ready to go, we're going to play the best guys, or we're going to play the guys that we feel like are the most ready and dependable. And that's what they've done so far.
It seems seemingly all business with him. I mean, I think that you see that in the press conferences too. Like, he's short, he's prickly, he doesn't want to give away information, and I think that that's confrontational and it's awkward, especially compared to not honestly compared to that much to Jason Garrett, but even further than where Jason Garrett would go. Whereas he's just not interested in revealing that stuff. He's about football, and I think that this kind of plays into that. Like, hey, none of that outside stuff matters to me. What matters to me is who's playing the best football, who's going to help my football team.
How many times did we see in the Jason Garrett era where a guy would be suspended, mostly on defense, and they'd come back the following week and instantly get the same amount of snaps that they had before, right?
No.
Like, there was no penalty at all for not taking care of your business off the field, right? I just think McCarthy wants players to earn their spot and their snaps. I think that's important to him.
I think another aspect that we need to give that another element here that needs to be pointed out is the fact that this team has the depth to support that kind of decision.
Yes.
I think if Terence Steele was 2020 Terence Steele, maybe this lesson is not
maybe
quite
not though.
But maybe not. We don't know. But I do think that does provide for the opportunity a lot better than if we didn't have any kind of backup tackle situation.
All right, let's get to some trade talk, Landon. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about Get Upside. Our listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every single time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and use promo code Touchdown and get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code Touchdown to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank. That is promo code Touchdown. All right, so the NFL trade deadline is a week away. I've got a list, and what I mean list, a huge list of names that we're going to go through. Let's first start with the guys that the Cowboys could potentially trade away. You tell me, is it worth it, what you could possibly get, and all that. We'll start with the guy that we were just talking about, Lael Collins. No guaranteed money left on his contract after the voided deal. Any chance they move him?
I mean, I think that there's a chance. I mean, depending on what the offer is. Look, I mean, what's clear is that they have, some trust issues with Lael Collins. What's not clear is how serious it is. So I don't know if we're quite to the point where we're trading him away. I mean, again, I don't know how much this plays into it, but I'm pretty sure that Lael is Dak's best friend on the team.
He is.
So I think that may play in here as well. I don't anticipate Lael getting traded. He's too good a player. And for the, despite this recent stuff, I don't think.
You don't trade away good tackles.
And I don't think he's a bad person. Like, I don't think he's like, I think he's bad about this kind of stuff. He has some personal responsibility issues that he needs to work out, which I think can get worked out with maturity. So hopefully he stays in the team.
Terence Steele.
That's, I can't imagine it, honestly.
No, I can't.
I
He's
think
a Texas kid. He plays hard. It seems like he likes to be there.
The coaching staff loves him.
Clearly. He's a cheap swing tackle. You don't really trade away those guys unless you're getting, I don't know, a day 2 pick. I don't see it, right? Because there's absolutely no value in trading away somebody like that for a 5th round pick.
Because the other thing too is that, I mean, I think you feel good about Ty and Secchi after what you've seen in limited play, that he could go in and be limited good. But I don't know if that's a long-term solution if someone gets hurt for a long time. And you haven't seen Josh Ball at all.
I was going to say, the only way you do this is if you really like Josh Ball.
Exactly.
We've not seen Josh Ball, though, yet.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is that we need to see that sort of, kind of depth in order to facilitate a trade like this, because you don't just get depth and then trade it away right away.
Blake Jarwin.
Jarwin is a legitimate possibility, in my opinion, because the contract isn't so debilitating.
No.
Right? And you look at, while you're pulling that up, you look at the rest of the room. They really like Sean McEwen. They saw a lot of good stuff from him during training camp and previously last year. And I think Pinkston has come in and been a solid rotational tight end. I think if McEwen comes in and kind of shows out the way he has, I would imagine that McEwen and Pinkston would kind of rotate that tight end. Sprinkle. I always say Jeremy. I don't know, Pinkston. Sprinkle. Would kind of rotate that tight end 2 role until I would assume eventually McEwen would probably take it over if that were the case. I don't know what the Cowboys could get for Jarwin, but I think
you're probably looking at conditional 6th or 7th round pick. It's more that you could potentially move off some money. It would save you about almost $11 million. His cap numbers over the next 2 years for the team that would acquire him would be $4.2 million and $6.2 million.
Yeah, and for a guy that is probably a borderline starter, especially if he would consistently be able to get some snaps at the spot, I think that's tradable money. And for the Cowboys, it gives them a little bit more room to sign guys like Schultz or Gregory.
Yeah, I could see that, not because you're going to get a big pick back, but more just because you can move off the money now. It opens up some more snaps for Sean McEwen. It opens up a roster spot. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it could happen. Next one, Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that for me, that's one of those guys that it's just on the border of why. Like, let's just let him leave and then get a comp pick, or what I'm saying. He hasn't been. You're not getting your money's worth out of usefulness out of him right now, but you also would probably need to find a way to replace him if you got rid of him, I think, because I think you like the linebackers that you have on your roster for sure, but he plays a very specific role as a kind of a middle linebacker thumper type that you kind of don't have outside of him on the roster, and you need that if you're going to stop the run, especially late in the season.
I don't see there being a big market for him at all.
Yeah,
Considering he's a free agent, considering his health, in the past, I just don't see it. The next one I do see, Jordan Lewis. I think you and I were both a little shocked when the Cowboys brought Jordan Lewis back this year. He's been really the third cornerback for this team, playing in the slot. But now Calvin Joseph is coming back. Deshaun Wright is there. His cap numbers over the next 2 years for teams that would acquire him, like 2.3 million, 5 million. We know the cornerback situation across the NFL is just awful. Could you get a 5th-round pick for Jordan Lewis? Would it be worth trading him?
You might, and you could save a little bit of money there. I mean, I guess my question then becomes like, do you want to trade away that depth? I mean, I know that Jordan Lewis hasn't been, set the world on fire, but I mean, it would be not the worst thing to have him as your 4th or 5th corner, going in late in the season. I think, if the Cowboys get into a situation where they're trying to find money for these guys like, Schultz or Gregory, this is one of those guys that you could trade away and then maybe roll his cap number into next year in order to sign somebody. So
I believe if they traded him, they would save about $7 million on the cap. It's not insignificant.
I mean, that's not insignificant, especially when every cent counts with some of these guys.
Because that might be enough. That might be enough to help you get to keeping Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, and I think if the trade's there, then you need to feel confident about Joseph because suddenly Joseph is actually playing a lot, or you got to feel really good about where you are in the development of that third corner.
I would have felt better about this trade if they didn't just put Maurice Kennedy on the injured reserve list, right?
Yeah,
because I think then you can do it because now, listen, if the rookies struggle, you can put the veteran in there. But that one's interesting. Last one, Cedric Wilson. He is going to be a free agent after this year anyways. Michael Gallup is coming back. Do you move on from him now to make sure that you pick up a comp pick? Maybe it's a 5th-round pick, or do you just say, hey, he's a really good wide receiver 4. Let's hold on to him.
I think you just hold on. You've got an offense that's cooking. You are getting Gallup back, but you don't know. I mean, you've already got another wide receiver who's beat up and has been, struggling, I think, to kind of keep on the field while waiting for Gallup to get back. So you love your 4th receiver. He's a stud. He can do a little bit of everything for you. And again, really close with the quarterback as well. So I think all those are the reasons why, the trade may make slight financial sense, but in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not worth pulling the trigger.
I agree. All right, let's take one more quick break so we can talk to you guys about Bet Online. We are back and better than ever with a new web interface for the start of the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. My voice just cracked because of you, Landon. Thank you so much. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, baseball, postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. We also want to tell you guys about Built Bar. You know Built Bar. It's the best tasting protein bar out there. It's real chocolate with amazing flavors and just a great combination of low calories, high protein, and low sugar with no crazy additives. Best of all, they taste fantastic. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCK15 and you'll get 15% off your next box at BuiltBar.com. All right, Landon, I've got like 15 names here. So we're going to go really quickly. You just tell me yes, no, and what you'd be willing to give up. Are you ready? It's going to be a little bit of a rapid fire. Some of these guys we've talked about before. Let's start with some of the more unrealistic names. Quinnen Williams.
I just don't think it. I mean, it's just too much. It's a draft pick. It's a re-signing. I understand he's young. but he's very good, not great to me, and he has been very good, not great. And I don't think you make that deal for a very good, not great player.
Okay, next one. Cleveland Farrell, a defensive end for the Raiders who was drafted at number 4 in 2019. He's pretty cheap. He played 17 snaps last week for the Raiders in a part-time role. Is that one interesting to you at all? No?
Not really.
Okay. All right, next one. Von Miller.
Yeah, this one's interesting. I mean, what's the cost? You know, and this is a conversation that you and me and a couple other people have had offline. I think the problem with this is, and you might need to give us the contract numbers, but
I got it right here. The base salary in actually, this is the last year. He's a free agent after this year. I'm sorry. So this is the last year. I don't believe it'd be very much. I think it'd be like a couple $1 million for the rest of the season.
Okay. The question is, what's the plan after this year? You know, is this a rental? Is this trade that you're taking on his salary, whatever the money is, whatever the number is that you're taking on, could that be eating into money that you have earmarked to roll over? Now, remember, money that doesn't get used in a cap during the season gets rolled over into the next season. And the Cowboys use that a lot for the accounting purposes of trying to re-sign some of these guys. So are the Cowboys kind of earmarking money to roll over into next year that they plan on using to re-sign Randy Gregory or Dalton Schultz? I think that's, if it's going to eat into that money, I don't want to lose Randy Gregory, Dalton Schultz to kind of rent Von Miller. So I'm for it in general. Von Miller is a Dallas guy. He loves the Cowboys. He obviously would be incredible for this year to have that guy kind of caliber talent on your team. But I don't want to lose Randy for the long term to get Von for the short term.
Yeah, I think I don't know the money exactly, but it would be probably $7 or $8 million, I think, to have him for the rest of the season, and that's a lot. And for a 1-year rental, I don't know. It's very intriguing. Like, if you want to go all in this year and you think adding somebody like Von Miller would help you, become the best team in the NFC, it's intriguing, but I don't know. I think a better option, if you want to do that, is Melvin Ingram. Producing at a very similar level. We talked about him yesterday, probably cheaper in terms of price, but I think that one's just more palatable for Dallas, correct?
I agree. Yeah, it's just the money's the difference, really.
All right, next one. How about an old friend of ours that's actually playing really well this season, that is under contract for the next couple of years? How about Robert Quinn? He has no guaranteed money left on the last 3 years of his deal. His base salary is like 13 million for the next 3 years. Is that one interesting to you?
No, I think it's moving backwards. He's struggled to stay on the field at times, and he's been kind of inconsistent at times with Chicago. So
okay. I do like Robert Quinn. He's having a really good year, but
I like him, and I like the way he plays. I just don't know if that's worth the squeeze for the Cowboys.
Next one, Marcus May, a safety for the Jets, really a free safety. He's in the final year of his contract. I believe the Jets franchise tagged him. He's basically said he's not signing a long-term deal there. Do you do kind of what Baltimore did last year with Yannick Ngakoue and just trade away a 3rd or 4th round pick, hoping you pick up a comp pick here next year, get him for the last 10 games of the season?
Let's inject a little bit of realism here, okay? The Jets aren't going to trade Marcus May to the Cowboys. Not after the whole Jamal Adams fiasco. Yeah. They're pissed at us still. So sure. I don't think that's happening.
All right, I got one that's really interesting. This is a guy that's played really well this year, and he's on a 1-6 team, and he's still on a rookie contract. What about Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle for the Dolphins? He's having the best season of his career. He's like 315, 320 pounds, can kind of play multiple spots. You could kind of rent him for the next year and a half and probably wouldn't cost a lot. Is that interesting to you?
You know, I mean, not to make this an NFL overall conversation, but it's like, what are the Dolphins doing? You know, because that's my question is I'm interested in to some degree, but what I just have no feel for is, do the Dolphins still consider themselves to be contenders this year, or what is their plan? And if their plan is to hold on and be better, to continue to get better, I don't know that they're going to want to trade Christian Wilkins.
This one's interesting to me though, because like if I'm Dallas, I think I would give up like a third round pick for Christian Wilkinson, maybe even a little bit more because you get him for the rest of this season. Next year, his cap number is 4.9 million. And then you have the 5th-year option. So it's very similar to the Amari trade. And listen, it's pretty clear defensive tackle is going to be a spot the Cowboys have to upgrade next year as well. So why not just bring in a guy right now that can help you this year and gives you some long-term help?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the idea at all. I like the idea of the trade and getting the player on the team, and I think that the contract and all that matches up. My question is, is Miami willing to do a trade like this? If so, then yeah, I'd be interested.
The reason it might make some sense for Miami is because I think they're going to try to get some draft assets to go trade for Deshaun Watson. But why are you doing that, Miami? But it's clear they want to trade for Watson, and they don't have their own first round pick next year. So trying to stockpile some more day 2 picks wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
What do they think we're going to do? Trade them a lawyer? Like I don't. The best defense against Deshaun Watson is a legal defense. I would assume. Like I don't. We don't need to get into Deshaun Watson, but I don't understand at all anybody trading assets for that situation right now.
All right, I got one more for you. This is a really off the wall one. Let's say that Deshaun Watson is traded to the Dolphins. Are you interested in Tua as a reclamation project at all?
I think the problem is with that, I'm not as interested in Tua as a reclamation project backup as some other teams are going to be interested in Tua as a reclamation project starter. So I think ultimately, but I don't think not at the price that it's going to cost to get him. I would imagine.
Well, let me rephrase that. What do you think the cost is to get him?
Well, I would imagine that Miami's going to want at least a 2nd round pick, right?
That's kind of my thing. Is it probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick, right?
If it's a 3rd round pick, that's almost like, but still, even then, like,
I do think there's other teams that should kind of keep an eye on this situation, right? Teams that maybe have a starter that's going to retire or move on after the year. Dallas, because they're so locked into Dak for the next forever, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But I'm not completely giving up on Tua, is what I'm saying.
I think there's a decent chance, at least some chance, that we'll play Tua twice this year. That a certain team that we have on our schedule twice may end up with him in that kind of dominoes fall sort of situation. If Watson ends up in Miami and Tua's got someplace else to go, you have to think that Washington's going to be on the phone talking about Tua.
I think Philadelphia should also be on the phone as well. Like, remember, Tua replaced Jalen Hurts at Alabama because he wasn't a good enough passer. Why not go get the guy that was better than Hurts? I don't know. It's a long story. All right, that is it for today's show. We got to that was a bunch of names that we managed to cover, so that's good. Knowing that the way that the trade deadline usually works out for the Cowboys, they're going to do absolutely nothing. So this is a fun little hypothetical show. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. And be sure to check out Luke on Locked On Vikings as he prepares the Cowboy-Viking matchup on Sunday Night Football. I'll actually be talking to Luke a little later today. We do the crossover show, which will be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys check that out. You can follow the show on YouTube. You can download us wherever you get your podcast. You can follow the show at Locked On Cowboys. You can follow Landon at McCool BCB, and I'm at Marcus_Mosher. And we'll see you next time.